On this week's show, BDubs shows his ass and his ignorance once again. DM Raptor gatekeeps the table by gatekeeping his own brain. Rump DM neatly encapsulates Bro SR hypocrisy all in one quote post. Scutifer Mike shows why the first three letters of assume are what they are. And a wizard's brain goes boom. Hello once again, favored of souls of the digital realm. I'm Daniel, and you have found Driving and Dragons. Go ahead and find those like, hype, and subscribe buttons, and then share this video with your friends. Why? Because pain is always better spread out than concentrated, and your brain will be hurt, because this is intelligence as a dump stat. A special one, too. This is the last IAADS before my stream this Thursday, where I will award the first annual Dummies. The award you don't want to win for the year's most asinine takes to appear on this series. So let's see if there are any last-minute upsets while I continue to work on the brake replacement for this Ford Explorer. If you like what you see and want to support the channel, or if you just want to see someone win a free car, sign up on my Patreon, YouTube memberships, or drop a super thanks on the video. Let's go. We open with the supreme master of moronic gaming tapes, BDubs, idiot king of the Bro SR. What did old BDum say to get back on the list? Easy, he just doubled down. Well, 10 to the millionth powered down on Jeffro Johnson's one true wayism nonsense yet again. The most important part of playing D&D is to have fun. That's why the Bro XT promotes Braunstein play. It's the only way to make D&D fun. One true wayism may be the gaming philosophy equivalent of Marxism. A complete and total failure that isn't even good in concept on the surface. Let's just look at some of the facts. Braunstein play was very influential in the earliest concepts that went into Dungeons & Dragons, but only the very earliest. Like the before it was even printed earliest. It was very quickly stripped out because it was only enjoyable or even interesting to an extreme minority of players. Are Braunsteins fun? I mean, sure they can be if that's your thing, but just like 99% of us find running around in a field with a foam sword, yelling lightning bolt and throwing cardboard at each other to be both lame and far less entertaining than playing at our kitchen tables, most players enjoy Braunstein as, at best, kind of a novelty. It is certainly not the only way to make D&D fun. In fact, in most cases, it just makes it annoying and forgettable. And that is the most annoying thing about the Bro SR. They can't simply promote their favored playstyle as a forgotten and novel way to experience the game that they prefer. They have to act like the dork kids that sat alone in high school casting real magic against the jocks they were so much better than but were afraid to step up to. And BDubs is the reigning champion, holding the title belt of unearned smug superiority. Not to be outdone, Bro SR standout DM Raptor replied to a post by Wizard Goes Boom and reminded everyone of why the Bro SR doesn't need to gatekeep because no one wants to be in their castle. Wizard said that he loves the weapons versus AC table because of the verisimilitude it adds to combat, and that's a fair point. It falls just to the too much side of center on that scale between simulationism and abstraction that I've talked about before when it comes to realism and TTRPG combat. But old Raptor looks at it with typical Bro SR one functional brain cellism. Best thing about that table? It gatekeeps the unworthy. Only elite gamers can join the Bro SR, and the unwashed masses are not allowed to play real D&D. It's a self-fulfilling dream here, Raptor. Nobody wants to play at your obnoxious Bro SR games anyway. You can't gatekeep people who don't want in to begin with. You aren't elite. You're unimaginative, capable of only doing exactly what the book literally tells you to do. I swear the bros are the living embodiment of that meme where the fat nerd in the fedora is saying, and that's when I totally destroyed him with my smarmy one-liner, and it turns out that he's talking to no one and everyone's in the background ignoring him. That's literally what the Bro SR is. It wouldn't be the Bro SR and Intelligence as a dump stat without a cut from Rump DM. Now would it? So, what did showing my Rump DM say this time? Well, Noble Shield made a comment that the D&D needs X mindset is basically surface level railroading, things that have to emerge naturally from play and not be forced. And while that comment in and of itself borders on a spot here on the list, it relies on an overly broad application of the term railroading. Rump certainly replied in a manner that usurped any chance Noble Shield had of getting another entry in the Golden Dummy Awards. The game, as described in AD&D, is exactly this. It assumed that as a matter of course these things will occur. We know we are playing wrong when PvP domain never happens. Here it is, folks, a fine example of Bro SR hypocrisy in one flashing comment. It's all natural and emergent play that occurs on its own, but if your players make different choices, it's clearly because you're playing wrong. That's right, folks, emergent play is all about making the exact same decisions that a bro would. You know, like the decision to pick up a playstyle discarded as inferior by the overwhelming majority of the designers and players in every era of the game. Rump DM, so called because that's where he pulls all of his ideas from. Last in Bro SR nonsense, we have Scutifer Mike. Now, as far as those who exist in the Bro SR orbit goes, Mike is definitely one of the less obnoxious as a whole, and I'm not sure if he's a bro or just a raw fanatic that is, as they say, bro adjacent, but he's close enough here. The Basic Expert posted about how when someone is discussing game rules, that raw is the guideline and that he stops caring when someone leads with how long they've been running games. While this is a flaw in his own character to simply assume that any statement of experience immediately invalidates what comes after, it is largely rooted in the fact that many fall back on the classic "my 40 years" as some kind of defense against something being shown to be factually inaccurate. As I've said here 100,000 times, if you're going to have a general conversation about running a game system, you must assume rules is written unless very clearly stated otherwise. If I try to argue that D&D uses a D100, I'm wrong, even if I've been playing Dungeons & Dragons with a homebrewed D100 mechanic since 1976. Well, Mike quoted Expert and added, them. We never played that way at my house when I was 11. Me, because you didn't read the book. I did. This is an obnoxious, self-aggrandizing position to take, and that's founded on an unearned elitism that is very prevalent in the raw fanatic community. You can argue all day long that you playing that way since you were 11 doesn't make it the way the game was designed or codified in the rules. That's a good assumption. That's a correct statement. But the ridiculous assumption that the only reason they didn't or don't play that way is because they didn't read the book is just complete hogwash. Especially because if Mike read the book, he knows full and damned well that it says several times that the rules can and should be adjusted, adapted, changed, or omitted as the DM sees fit to suit their party, campaign, and playstyle. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Rule 0 is raw. It is written into the pages of virtually every TTRPG in print. Sure, there are a ton of GMs who have not read and studied the rules. Based on a lot of the current discussions of literacy in the adult population these days, only a minority are even capable of actually reading and understanding the rules as they're written. But Mike and the Rawtards will say this quite literally and straight-faced to people who had a hand in writing the damned rule books. It is so stupid and conceited that it physically hurts to witness. We step away from the bros to a friendlier part of the OSR, where Wizard Goes Boom misses the point about PvP entirely. My problem with the get-along gang style of play is that it doesn't reflect my play experience with childhood friends. We didn't always get along, tried to one-up each other, and busted each other's chops. That led to some PvP. But you know what you didn't do? You didn't try to kill your friends. You didn't maliciously steal from them. Or try to dangerously undermine their efforts. D&D may be a game, sure, but in that game you are playing a group of adults working together on extremely dangerous work. When you PvP at work, you get fired, or worse. Let's use a modern example. If you're an electrician and you don't, if you go and make a line that your buddy is working on hot for any reason, yeah, you're probably facing some serious charges there. And, pun. If you flat all of your buddy's truck tires so that you can take his shift, he doesn't really stay a friend. If you sabotage his work so that you guys can get more overtime fixing things, you're going to get fired as soon as you're found out. As for all the more lighthearted one-upmanship, ribbing, and even arguing or threatening each other, that happens in-game all the time. But when one member of a mercenary unit pulls his sword on another, he's gone for good if he even survives. The issue with Wizard's statement is one of perspective. To you, it's a game. To you and your childhood buddies, y'all were having fun playing games. To your characters, it's life and death, or at the minimum, a job and serious business. That's about all the eye rolling that I can handle for 1 week here, folks. You got just 4 days to stock up on your very own supply of BC headache powder ahead of Thursday's live stream. I'll see you guys there.